Hello everyone, welcome to Tom and Arnold Talk Movies. I'm Tom, this is Arnold.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about Goodnight Mommy, directed by Matt Sobel, written by Kyle Warren, and the cast includes Naomi Watts and Cameron and Nicholas Crovetti. So this is the American English language remake of Goodnight Mommy, which I can't remember where it originally came from. But the basic plot is you have two brothers who have to stay with their mum. When they get there, they see that their mum has had surgery and the majority of her face is covered in a surgical mask. They begin to suspect that maybe it isn't their mother after all. So Arnold, what did you think of Goodnight Mommy?
An absolute cheap, soulless, clearly Amazon product where it was a film where it could have been so much more. The fact that it was holding back that what should have been a horror movie, but it was marketed as suspense so they could make it a bit more accessible for a typical audience. And to me, that's when the film is like, yeah, it doesn't work. It falls apart quite easily. There's no moments of tension. It's a pretty boring affair. What about you?
I absolutely loved it. No, I thought this was shit and...
and a bit more.
Compared to the remake, this is absolutely awful. There's nothing that this does differently. Well, the stuff that it does differently from the original, but it doesn't add onto anything from the original. If anything, it takes away from the original, and I think
Exactly.
possibly in a way it dumbs it down a bit. But I don't like saying stuff like that because yeah. But you haven't seen the remake?
I have not. No.
This is the fucking baby shit version of this.
It's so
film.
one word springs to mind: tame.
We're gonna spoil it because it's not really worth your time.
Worth it, yeah.
But in this, there's a moment where the two children basically tie up their mum because they don't believe that she's really there. And in the original, it's very brutal. I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure they practically torture her. There's one famous bit in the original where I think they get like some not barbed wire, but like floss, and they just fuck up all her teeth. It's fucking brilliant, man. Honestly, you saying tame, you don't know how tame this fucking film is.
Yeah. You know, I looked at an image of the original film, and you see this one with the surgical mask, and she looks so sinister compared to like Naomi's one. Naomi just looks like a converted fucking Mondasian Cyberman. You know, it's like she looks like she's wearing a sock.
Yeah. It's not as creepy.
Yeah.
As the original.
What's the most offensive about this film is how cheap it is. And like I've made a little list, man, and it's like because it's a remake. Therefore, Amazon thought, well, we can just literally just do our own version, but a bit more tamer, like I said. But plus it's set in one location, and literally it's like you can tell it's sort of like rushed. It's like let's just get this out there because we want to compete with Netflix in terms of original programming. I mean, there's an opening shot of the exterior house, and I swear to God, it looks really cheap. Like it doesn't feel like there's not some sort of like cinematic quality to the opening shot. It looks like it's some sort of holiday video or something.
Looks like a TV show.
Yeah, essentially.
And TV shows are quite good these days, so that is
exactly that's complimenting it. But I mean, there's certain moments where like there's a bit where where she starts peeling. I mean, spoilers, but she starts peeling her skin, and like the way that looks from like when she starts peeling from her feet. Oh, it looks so terrible.
Yeah, I remember actually. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But
that one bit was quite unsettling, but that was it.
It's so shit. The only bit where it looked convincing when she started peeling from the back, and I think because of how sort of the lighting is, it kind of worked because it was very dimly lit. But like just seeing it up close completely took you out of the film in terms of like
Yeah, it's the twist. It's so fucking obvious as well. If you haven't seen the original, even if you haven't seen the original, I think you'd know that one of the kids isn't there because I think the first time the mum interacts with the kids, it's like she's like there's two kids and she's talking directly to one of them, and it's like it's so fucking obvious.
Yeah,
and like because I already knew the twist, I was looking for moments where it's like, is this like are they actually going to do not what they did in the original, and there is actually 2 kids there? Just the twist is so fucking obvious that
They don't
I kind of wish that it would have done something fucking different.
Yeah, they don't really play around with this sort of ambiguous nature of what it could be, instead of
It's
like,
so- yeah,
this is
that's
what's
it.
coming.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's so
yeah.
obvious from the get go, and it's funny because it reminds me somewhat of another remake of Funny Games, but the difference with Funny Games is that it was, and a weird thing, coincidence, is that Naomi Watts is also in the remake of Funny Games. But the difference with Funny Games is that Funny Games is directed by the original director, and it's practically a shot-for-shot remake. And it's similar to that, where like the original of Funny Games is quite good, and you know it's enjoyable to watch, whereas the remake just has that sort of like, I want to say this, but I don't want to be harsh, but it feels very American.
Yeah, there's not really like a
You know what I
unique
mean?
style to it.
Yeah. It's the same with Funny
It's
Games.
like I said, it goes back to what I was saying, like how it's so quickly made, and you can tell there's no sort of love or thought going into this project.
Yeah, it's like, why this? It literally feels like this film was made for people who can't be asked to read subtitles.
Yeah,
Because they can watch this instead.
yeah,
Because it's just like, honestly, watch the original film is so much fucking better. There was no sort of buzz or like anything around this film. It just came out. I just saw like, oh, it's on the Fire Stick. Oh, Goodnight Mommy's coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen the original. I'll watch that.
I
What's
watched.
the point in this? What is the point?
I know. I watched the trailer, and like the way they sort of heavily implied that this Naomi Watts character is going to be like the main villain, and like I was expecting like a sort of like Jack Torrance from like The Shining, where you know she's got that weird sort of surgical mask on, and like you know she's not really that scary at all, to be honest. You can clearly quite see that she's just mentally distressed. She's suffering from anxiety. You know, it's not like it's this stupid way of misleading the audience that's sort of getting the hype up, and it's like it's done so terribly, and you feel cheated.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think you're saying that though. I think Naomi Watts is probably the best thing about this film, because you feel like you sort of know the backstory of this character.
Just off the get-go.
Yeah, just from her acting, because it seems like this is like someone who had kids and then kind of regretted it, because she's like, she used to be like a star or something. She used to be an actress, or something like that, and that's why. And that's probably another thing about, you know, why she wants to look young again, or why she's had plastic surgery. But
so she's definitely suffering with vanity issues.
Yeah,
I mean, I personally think I get a true sense that, you know, she's obviously doing this for the paycheck. I think she is giving, you know, she's not exactly giving it her all compared to, let's say, Mulholland Drive, where that's a fantastic performance.
That's one of her first films. So,
yeah,
and plus
yeah.
that's David.
She's got to that point where she doesn't need to try so hard, and she's like, yeah, sure, I'll do this. And like I said, I do agree with you. I think she's probably the best thing about this film. And that's not saying much, because there's not really many other actors that could sort of complement her. I mean, the two child actors are fine. You know, I don't think that. I mean, I have a serious problem with child actors, because you know, most of the time they're kind of embarrassing and cringy, especially their delivery. But you know, I thought for the most part they were pretty much convincing, especially when Naomi's character was acting sort of crazy and abusive. It works for those particular scenes. But you know, that's not much to say though. Yeah.
I think as well about the abusive thing. I can't remember if in the original the mum was that abusive, and it makes me think: did they make the film and
Sort of twist it.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's like, did they make the film and realize, oh, there's like Naomi's character doesn't come across as that bad, so let's make some extra scenes where she's a bit abusive.
Yeah, like that shower scene, for example. That was nothing.
I can't remember. Honestly, I don't remember if the mom in the original is more abusive, or if she's just like trying to convince them that she's actually their mom. There's a moment as well where they're trying to like build tension, and you feel fucking none of it. And it's the moment where she's tied up upstairs and the police turn up, and he answers the door, and it's supposed to be a moment like, oh, they're gonna get caught, the police are gonna come in and save her, but there's none of it. There is no, you do not feel anything. It's so fucking by the numbers.
The film, for starters, doesn't even build atmosphere that well, so no wonder there's no tension as a sort of building. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's what the original does better. It builds that atmosphere and emotion and all that.
I will say one thing, because I haven't watched the original film. It did remind me of another film, and this film is this is the film called The Others, starring Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read it because it's been a while since I watched it. So basically, this film deals with guilt and denial, and the way they portray, I definitely think, is way more effectively than Goodnight Mommy. I think because The Others, it embraces its sort of horror element because it has a sort of paranormal element to it. I don't want to spoil it too much because it involves ghosts, essentially. Whereas this film, it's like I said earlier, you've got all the makings of a horror film with this sort of abuse thing. And like the whole dream sequences, you know, where he's sort of reliving the whole, you know, fire at the barn and stuff like that. You know, there could have been a lot more to play with. I mean, there is a moment, a dream sequence in the film where you see Naomi Watts as a monster, and it kind of does that to an extent. But it's like I said, there's just no tension. It's like it's just there for shock value, and that's it. The film, for the most part, for the first half of the film, tries so hard for Naomi's character to be the main villain that when she becomes this monster, it's like it feels really cheap. It doesn't feel like it's what's the word? It doesn't feel like it's earned in that sense. And then once that's over, you pretty much understand that it's going to be a twist that one of the boys is not real, and that's it. Terrible.
Yeah, not very good at all. There's something about this film which feels very 90s. Did you get that?
What do you mean by that?
It's just the way it was sort of filmed and the way the plot works. It just felt very 90s. I could imagine, for some reason, it reminded
in the
me...
sense of its predictability.
No, it's hard to put my finger on it. But it's just like, there's just something about it which felt like a film from the 90s. It reminded me somewhat of a film called The Good Son, which is very fucking 90s, which has Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin in it. And basically, Elijah Wood has to stay with, I think it's his cousin, who's Macaulay Culkin, but Macaulay Culkin's a proper bastard. It's such a fun film, to be fair.
Goodbye.
It reminds me of that in a way, because, you know, you sort of get this sort of, I don't know, it just, there's something about it just feels very 90s. Just, it feels like you could change the way this film looks slightly and it would fit perfectly, especially that shitty, weird ending, which just fucking shit, man.
Yeah, so when you get to the ending, you're just done with it. You're just like,
oh
okay.
yeah, you're done with it. Is there anything you particularly liked?
Not really, no. I couldn't really think of anything on the.
I like seeing Naomi Watts. I know
she's always a a good performer no matter what role. I mean, I think she was carrying the film on her back essentially.
Yeah, I think Cameron Crovetti is the main star. Well, the main child, and he's Ryan in The Boys.
Yeah,
which is another,
the son of Homelander.
Yeah, which is another Amazon thing,
product.
So maybe he's Jeff Bezos' nephew or something. But I don't know. I really ain't got much else to say about this, because it's just like, it's not very interesting. It's a pointless remake.
And because it's easy and cheap to make, it's easy to like get it out there.
Yeah, they probably wanted to get it out for Halloween. I can't remember when it came out. I think it came out late August or something.
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know. It feels like such a dumped to streaming film. Like this, if this was put in cinemas, fuck me, it would have been a bomb and a half.
Jesus Christ, trust me.
So overall, Goodnight Mommy, not a recommendation. Don't waste your time on it. Watch the original because it's so much better.
And the others.
And the others. And The Good Son. Fuck it, watch that as well. Just don't watch this because it's boring. So yeah.
Fuck you, Jeffrey Bezos.
I'm still gonna buy stuff on Amazon all the time. So yeah, that'll do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in another one.